This is how to blow up your content using storytelling. I've been seeing small creators on YouTube blow up these days, from barely getting views to getting thousands of views. So I decided to look closer. It wasn't better editing, it wasn't their expensive cameras, it was crazy good storytelling. If your content isn't doing well, it's probably not your niche or your personality. It's just that you haven't learned how to tell addictive and seductive stories in your content. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you 5 powerful storytelling techniques that creators use to grow fast, what they use to build a cult-like follower base and actually make money. Hi, my name is Gloria, and my goal on this channel is to help personal brands to get rich of content so that you can be able to build a life and a business that gives you time and location freedom. Storytelling technique number 1, the villain effect. Now let's talk about the Lion King for a second. The whole story revolved around Simba, who was a very super cute little cub who was just living his best life with his dad, who was the king of the entire jungle. Everything was going great until bam, his dad dies, and from there Simba's world literally turned upside down. He got into this crazy journey where he has to figure out what it means to be a king, has to face his fears. But here is the interesting part. He had a very cruel uncle. Now Scar is the villain of the story. He's the one who tricks Simba, who causes the chaos, who forces Simba to run away in the first place. Now if Scar didn't exist in the first place, Simba would have probably just inherited the throne and things would have just been all happy and boring, and we wouldn't have gotten this epic story that we all know today. So what does Scar and Simba teach us about storytelling? Well, here's the thing. A story without a villain, whether it's a person, whether it's a problem, whether it's an obstacle, it's never exciting. There's nothing interesting about it. Conflict and struggle is what makes any story interesting. Conflict makes us want to keep watching any content, any video, any movie. In fact, research has also shown that people are wired to respond to conflict in stories. And a study by the psychology of storytelling found that people remember stories with strong conflict because why? The human brain is designed to focus on problems and solutions. I don't know why, but we love watching someone fight through a struggle and come out stronger on the other side. So when you're telling your story in your content, you need that villain to create an emotional roller coaster. So how do you apply this? So first of all, you want to think of your story as a journey with 5 key parts. Now we have the first part, the introduction. Now this is where you introduce the main character and the situation, whatever is happening, in the initial stage of your story, where everything is normal, maybe a little bit of tension, but nothing major yet is happening. For example, I'm going to be using a skincare creator to write this entire script to show you how you can be able to use this villain effect storytelling technique in your content. All right, so in introduction part, this skincare creator is going to say something like, I've always had clear skin, but then out of nowhere I started breaking out like crazy and it just wouldn't stop. Now the second part of your story is the rising action. Now this is when things get more interesting. You're noticing the problem and you're starting to do something about it. I tried everything. I was using all these miracle skincare hacks, like putting my face in eyes and using toothpaste and trying all these super hash marks that just left my face feeling so tight and sore. The third part of your story is the conflict. Now this is the heart of the story and this is where the villain really shows up. But nothing was working. In fact, it made my skin even worse. The breakouts kept coming and I started feeling so frustrated. I didn't know what to do anymore, and that's when I realized that I wasn't really listening to my skin. Now the fourth part of your story is the falling action. This is where the hero, which is you start figuring things out and you start moving towards a solution. So I decided to take a step back, forget all this random advice, and finally visit a dermatologist. And that's when I found that I needed a gentler routine and not all these harsh chemicals and crazy DIY hacks. Now the fifth and last part of your story is the resolution. Now here is where the story ties up and everything comes together. After that, my skin started to clear up and I finally felt confident again. It wasn't about finding the quick fix, but learning to listen to my skin and give it what it actually needed. So did you see how interesting that story was? Now storytelling technique number 2 is the open loop. Now this one is actually my very favorite and one of the most powerful storytelling hook or technique that you can use in any form of content. Have you ever seen those viral Chinese short movies that come as ads? You can see these ads everywhere, either on YouTube, on Snapchat, literally everywhere where ads is shown. You're going to see these viral Chinese short movies. You've probably seen this many times. And these videos always start with crazy moments like a rich guy falling in love with a poor girl, or just some random wild plot twists. They're usually around romantic movies, and most times you catch yourself watching these videos along the line when you're about to find out if the nonchalant billionaire actually falls in love with the maid. Boom, the video ends. And all you really want to do now is click on that ad, download the app, and watch more. This is a perfect example of the open loop. These short stories, they start by opening a loop in your mind, a curiosity gap, and they don't close it until later. They leave the big review or the conclusion hanging. They literally just leave you there in the air, and it drives you crazy. And you just need to know what happened next. So you end up clicking on the ad, you download the app, and before you know it, you're actually paying to watch these movies, even when you have a Netflix subscription that is still very much active. That is how powerful the open loop technique is. So how does this relate to you as a content creator or a business owner who's creating content? So you can do this by leaving your audience with an open question, a mystery, or an unresolved plot line that they cannot stop thinking about until they see the end. And hold on, I'm going to give you some examples. Psychologically, this works because humans have an inherent need to finish whatever we start. And it also taps into something called the Zagneric. I don't know how to pronounce this word, but this is it, which states that we remember incomplete tasks much better than completed ones. Now, the brain is naturally inclined to focus on unfinished business. So when you leave an open loop, people cannot resist clicking to get the full story. So let me give you an example of what this looks like. If you're a fitness creator, you can start your video by saying something like, growing up, I have always been a very thin person. I tried so many things to gain weight, but it never worked. I thought I would never ever gain weight. But after struggling with being on that weight for so many years, I made one change in my diet that literally transformed everything for me. And today I am as thick as I ever wanted to be. This is definitely going to make your audience hooked. They want to know what that change is, and they will definitely stick around until the very end of the video when you finally reveal it. Now, the best part about this open loop is that it works across all types of content, whether you're making long form YouTube videos like this, or short form content, or even email, or even blog posts, whatever. You can use this open loop storytelling technique. Storytelling technique number 3. Now, this one is called the backward transformation. Let me ask you a question. Which of this video would you keep watching? Here is what I did to gain 5 kg of muscle. Or another one that says, I gained 5 kg of muscle at home with no equipment or even a trainer. And here's what I did. Now, which one would you keep watching? Probably the second one, right? Now, that is the power of a backward transformation technique. This is where you start with the result first and then walk us backward into the journey of how you got all of that. Now, psychology calls this the curiosity gap. Now, it's when your brain notices a gap in information and wants to fill it immediately. A 2014 study by the Journal of Marketing Research showed that people are more likely to click or keep watching when there is a result or outcome presented without the full context. When you open your video with the transformation or results, you're literally pulling the viewer's brain in like a magnet. So instead of spending the first few seconds of your video explaining your struggle and how you've suffered, girl, just lead with the outcome already. We want to see the after, the results, the win, the surprise before telling us how you got there. Now they're like, wait, how did she do that? I want to know because I want to look just like her. For example, if you're a fitness creator, you can start your video with, I went from skinny to thick without lifting a single dumbbell. Then after that, you're going to go into the home workout routine you did, your mindset, what you changed, the small consistent steps you took, and all that thing, everything that took you to that outcome. That's what you want to explain later on in the video. If you're a study creator, you want to start your video by saying something like, I went from being a D student to being a straight A student without studying more hours. Then after that, you go into your new method of studying, your mindset shift, and how you started using different learning techniques to get to where you are right now. The best place to use the backward transformation technique is in your long and short form video intro and hooks. Now, storytelling technique number 4 is emotional anchoring. Which video would you rather watch? A video that says 5 tips to grow your business online? Or would you watch the video that says, I used to cry after posting every video because I felt invisible. I felt like no one was actually seeing my content. And because of that, my business wasn't growing. I wasn't making any money. I was just completely broke. And I would always cry and cry and cry and cry and cry my eyes out because nothing was working. It wasn't until I stopped doing these three things in my content that I finally blew up and my business skyrocketed. Now, which of the video would you watch? Probably the second one, right? Now, that is the power of emotional anchoring. You're not just sharing tips, you're connecting with your audience's feelings. Now, this technique works because people don't just buy products, they don't just follow people's pages, they don't just subscribe to channels, they connect with emotions. The reason why you have liked someone's content before, you have followed the person, you have, identified yourself as a fan of the person, you have bought something from someone online, is because that person made you feel something. Is it that the person made you feel inspired, they made you feel seen, they made you feel heard, they made you feel like you're not just the only one going through whatever you're going through right now. The reason why you probably subscribe to my channel right now is because I'm giving you so much knowledge and so much information that you feel inspired and you feel motivated to go create good content for your business. So this is the right time for you to subscribe to the channel. So when you're using emotional anchoring, you have to make people say, yeah, I felt that too. I get you. This is exactly how I feel. And this is going to be easy, so much easier for you when you understand who you're talking to, their pain points, the things that keep them up at night, their desires. Neuroscience even backs this up. According to research by Harvard professor Gerald Zaltzman, I hope I pronounced that properly, 95% of buying decisions are made based on emotion and not logic. Another study by the Journal of Advertising Research says that we remember stories with emotions 22 times. Are you hearing what I'm saying? 22 times more than just plain facts. If your videos make people feel something, whether it's make them feel sad, inspired, or seen, they will definitely remember your story. So instead of just jumping straight into tips and values, you want to start your videos with the most relatable emotional moment. It could be a moment of frustration, it could be a moment of fear, it could be a mini win that made your heart so full. Then after that, you want to build your tips or your stories from there. So for example, if you're like a vlogger, you know that vlogging is usually just a bunch of mundane tasks that you're just doing. You edit it together and you put it out there and hoping that someone is going to like your video and watch. Yeah, but if you want to use emotional anchoring for your vlogs, I want you to look at your entire vlog. Maybe you filmed a week in your life or a day in your life. Look at the entire week, look at the entire clips that you captured. Which one do you think has the most powerful emotion? Was it the one where you were crying at night because you just felt so anxious, you were scared something was going to happen, blah, blah, blah? Girl, that's the first clip that I want you to put at the very beginning of that vlog. You know, when, you're editing your vlogs and you have those first few intro where it's like a summary of the entire vlog. That's the very first clip I want to see. You crying, your eyes out, or maybe you getting a job, you getting a car, but anything that just makes me feel some sort of emotion immediately. I don't just want to see you like dressing your bed or doing anything. Girl, show us emotion. So here's how you can use this as a fitness creator, for example. So you want to start your video by saying, there were days where I would stand in front of the mirror and I would literally cry my eyes out because I felt like my body wasn't changing. Even after spending so many hours in the gym, after working out, after trying different diets, I still felt so insecure and so bad in my body. I would look at other girls, I would just love how they looked, and I was just over here working out every single day. Nothing was working, blah 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 blah. And after that, you want to talk about how everything changed and how you finally made progress in your weight loss or weight gain journey, whatever that is. Now, another example is if you're a skincare creator, you could say something like, I used to wear makeup every day just to feel normal, just to feel like every other girl, until I made this one tiny change in my skincare routine that gave me back my confidence. Now I can go out barefaced. Now I feel so much more stronger. I feel more powerful as a woman. I have never felt this way before in my life. Then after that, you want to share with us your new skincare routine or the products that you feel like changed your life. Now, by the way, if you're a personal brand or a business owner who wants to grow your business and build a real community on Instagram or TikTok or any other short form content, but you never know what to post and you don't know how to turn your ideas into good content, you don't know how to make sales from your content, girl, my marketing content agency, bossup.io, we have 2 spots right now open this month for our done for you content marketing service, where we handle everything from your strategy to your research to scripting to editing, and all you have to do is just film once a month and we take care of every other thing. Now, if that sounds like something that you want right now, just click the very first link in the description of this video or just send me a DM on Instagram before the spots are gone. Now, storytelling technique number 5. Now, this one is very, very, very powerful and you better not miss it. and it's called Micro Moments. Now, let me ask you the question for a very last time again. Which of this video would you watch? I struggled with content creation for years. Or another one that says, there was one time I cried after spending 4 hours filming and editing a video that only got 12 views. Which one would you watch? Definitely the second one. Why? Because that is the power of micro moments. This is when you stop trying to squeeze your whole journey into the video. We're not trying to say this is how to grow your business online. We're not trying to do that. This is how you can be able to add an extra $10,000 to your monthly recurring revenue as an online coach in the next 30 days. Do you see how specific that is? You see what I'm saying? That's what I call micro moments. You are focusing on one small real life moment that paints the full picture. Psychologists call this the episodic memory. It's how our brain remembers stories through specific events, through emotional scenes, not summaries. A study from Princeton University found that people are more likely to remember and feel connected to stories that are detailed, visual, and very much specific. The word there is specific. Now, when your content zooms in on a real life situation, even if it's something tiny, people don't just watch, they feel it, and that is what keeps them hooked. That's what makes your hook so much powerful. So instead of saying I've been struggling with confidence all my life, I'm always very insecure, I want you to scrap that line and I want you to say something like, there was a time I avoided going for a job interview because I hated how I looked in everything I wore. Nothing was fitting. That's how it has been all my life. I never look good in anything I wear. So here's how to use this technique in real life. If you're a fitness creator, instead of saying, I hated my body, you're going to say something like, I remember wearing 3 leggings at once to the gym just to feel okay in my skin, just to feel more confident, just to feel like every other girl who had perfect body. If you're a skincare creator, instead of saying, my skin used to be terrible, what does that even mean? Terrible is such a broad word that it can mean anything. So instead, I want you to replace that line with, I once cancelled a date because my breakout was so bad, I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. If you're a study creator, instead of saying, I used to be a lazy student, don't say that, especially at the very beginning of your video. That is too broad. You want to say, there was a time I actually faked being sick just to avoid writing a test that I didn't study for. That was how bad it was. A specific event or situation that tells the full story. Just that one line will tell you that I am a lazy student. That one line will tell you that my skin was terrible. That one line will tell you how much I hated my body. There's no point in applying all these 5 storytelling techniques I just gave you to your content if you're not going to be showing up for your audience consistently. So watch this video where I show you exactly how to finally start being consistent as a content creator.